Hello everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of February the 26th till the 5th of March 2023. We are in for a really powerful week where there is a lot of energy build up, there is a lot of momentum, there is also a lot of action, yet all of this might be eclipsed by the anaretic position of Saturn and Pluto very soon in March, of course, to change signs, and we are going to be feeling that very strongly, both individually and collectively. Now, Saturn in an erratic position always highlights the major lessons of the period when it transited through the sign, and this transit of Saturn was extra important because it did meet at the time when it entered into Aquarius with Jupiter holding the Great Conjunction in December 2020. So we are also powerfully going to be reminded of that. But at the same time, Pluto, being in 29 degrees of Capricorn, highlighting its own conjunction with Saturn and other power players as well at that time, for example, Mercury, Sun, Ceres, etc. But at the same time, as soon as Pluto touches Aquarius, it will immediately activate again the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. So all of these energies are pointing intensely, almost, insistently to the great conjunction. So to me, this says that this is definitely one of those weeks when we are going to perceive, perhaps this is the best word, what the Great Conjunction has done and is doing for us personally in a rather philosophical, elevated, but not necessarily manner, because, that also uh, changes, upgrades, or quantum leaps us into a new personal paradigm, and this reflects in our worldview. So it alters, it changes, it upgrades our worldview, and this might be a week when either life or our inner being will tell us, show us, almost, rub it in of what we believe in next, if that even makes sense. But amongst all this energy, there is going to be a very powerful conjunction on the 2nd of March. But before I get into the astrology, I almost forgot. I would like to wish a very happy birthday week for my very dear friend Ishti. And I would also like to wish a lot of inner strength and endurance for Vitzo. So, after this being said, let's get to the 2nd of March, where we have that conjunction of Chiron, Venus, Jupiter, and Vesta. Now, this is really important because the world right now, Chiron, needs a lot of healing. Jupiter being the great benefic planet which bestows blessings, Venus the lower one. So this does signify a moment of healing or a moment of breakthrough in the name, for the sake, for the purpose of healing, and of course collectively as well. Or better said, collectively, in a sense, it's much more important than individually, because this energy can have another expression as well. Jupiter and Venus does provide a great benevolence. It does want to suggest that this is actually a moment of healing. So, taking the symbolism of Aries, a breakthrough, initiation, a breath, metaphysically speaking, energetically speaking, a breath, a divine exhale of, healing breath. So this is quite significant. And there is definitely going to be a lot of benevolence, a lot of blessing. Venus, a lot of joy, healing received, healing doing its job. And Vesta, the sacredness of it. And Vesta is also a power of protection, basically. So it's divinely protected. But at the same time, Aries. Now, Aries is really the goal, the purpose, that which is born. And it doesn't matter, it's not polarized yet. So, because the energy hasn't reached, for example, Gemini yet. So that means the aggressor, the wound giver, the one who inflicts the wound is also blessed, also expanded by Jupiter. So, this is where my personal intuition comes in. Without a doubt, the big blessing is gonna be out there in the sky. This is also highly romantic energy. When you meet the healer, or when love heals you, for good fortune heals you. Vesta, someone intervenes, a hero. Why not? Ultimately, this is strong hero, and it also squares Pallas Athena and Cancer. So the hero, exactly, the gesture can, because the square, it's not easy. A heroic gesture, so that needs a square, that needs tough challenge, that needs an unusual situation. But the result of it, something beautiful happens. Someone saves the day. A gesture of heroism. An alliance is born. Why alliance? Because, Aries can attract partners. A breakthrough in. But anyway, yes, absolutely. And this is all so wonderful. But if the wound giver is empowered, then he inflicts the wound with great ease. So this can mean also a collective wounding, because again, I must highlight this. Jupiter can expand anything. It can, a moment of fortune. Well, you can imagine that a lucky strike, a devastating blow done by an aggressor, well, is blessing for the aggressor. So maybe there is gonna be some wounding out there in the world that creates, of course, greater healing, that summons healers, for example, summons gestures of Jupiter, compassion, humanitarianism, generosity. For me personally, Jupiter is a planet which kind of maybe doesn't govern directly, but does send the Red Cross or whatever the humanitarian help. Jupiter does send it quickly because it is the generosity within our hearts, basically. And another energy in Aries, which is going to be very, very active, is that Juno. So, Jupiter and his wife being in the same sign, but naturally Juno is a lot of steps ahead. But she's meeting Aries. So Aries already has the golden apple prepared, a moment of truth, a moment that will shock us, a moment that, will force alliances to come together. So you can imagine that if there is a wounding, an aggression out there in the world, that will create unusual alliances. Aries. So goddess of discord. The discord creates Juno partnerships. Like, let me give you an example. There was an earthquake recently in where I live, but if it would have been devastating, well then you can imagine I would immediately put aside any judgment, and go and help with anyone. And I would partner with anyone for the sake of lending help. So I wouldn't care, even if that person was horrible to me for 10 months straight on, I would immediately partner for the sake of help, and that person would do the same. So this is where crisis dissolves boundaries and enables partnerships to be formed, and that partnership can last. Because, going back to my example, if that person who really had a grudge, or the opposite of sympathy for me and mutually, if we see the human in each other, we see the benevolence, the intelligence, or whatever, the effort in each other for a common goal, and how little the differences that once were between us will matter now, that changes us and our union forever. Chances are we'll be very good friends after the experience. So you can imagine Aries can create miracles as well in that sense, because that can be the apple of discord. Well, you think you're mortal enemies because something doesn't match, obviously. And surprise, surprise, you can be the best mates in a moment of crisis. So, this is what I see playing out in the world. And Jupiter, now this is where, again, I have to say, Jupiter is not aggressed. So, but yet still, if it's in a bad mood, it's religious fanaticism, especially in Aries. So there can be some kind of wounding in that sense, but the opposite of it as well. Oh, this is where we must really, really focus on the positive of this, because regardless of how this Jupiter might play out in the not so favorable sense, it will create more healing than ever. So the purpose, the divine purpose, is still a blessing, a big, big, big. And Vesta makes sure that the sacredness is there. And you can imagine wounding. How does that go? Wounding violence with sacredness? The martyr. And, maybe there is going to be some martyrdom out there in the world, because the nodal axis, so the north node being in the sign of Taurus around 5 degrees, south node in Scorpio also at 5 degrees, T-squaring Black Moon Lilith in Leo at 5 degrees. So, this to me says that there might have to be a sacred heartbreak, heartache, whatever, for the sake of progress. Because why? South Node in Scorpio already pulled to the surface every ounce of wisdom, knowledge, and practical experience, which tells us what doesn't work, what isn't worth it, what we need to eliminate from our lives, what we want to get rid of, what we don't want to see, experience, have in the world as emotion, as value, and this targets values a lot. Especially values which are the low expression of Scorpio. The cheap, the cheap and for everyone, to make it easy, this kind of energy is targeted to disappear, so it's aggressed heavily. And we might see this where everything that is cheap, easy, loses the interest of the heart. So it falls. Everything that is Taurus needs sacrifice, but is rudimentary, old, not even old, actually, immortal value that glitters right now. It glitters so very much that it breaks our heart that we chose the easy. You know what I mean? Now, in a personal way, down personally, now this can represent where we sacrifice something for the sake of progress, for the sake of future, or for the sake of freedom, South Node and Scorpio. This is where that toxic person, you might have known that person when they were not toxic, but if they morphed into something which you cannot live with anymore, then it is what it is. So this is where the divorce is born, the decision for the divorce, the decision of separation, the decision that I'm so sorry, but my industry does not work. I love my job, I love my career, but the industry is corrupted, or the industry is so modern that it's not me anymore. I'm really special. So this is where the big, big, big choices are being born, even in the heart. And this is a funny energy, because we welcome the heartbreak. This is where, yeah, break my heart. You know what I mean? Because we need that. We need that motivation. We need the final disillusionment. We need the final disappointment. We need the final salt in the wound. But please trust me when I say, this isn't the doom and gloom, really. This isn't the Five of Cups energy, if you know tarot. The sorrowful victim who's disappointed. This is almost like a sadistic energy, but in the best way possible, where, the daredevil laughs in the face of pain, where, someone had a lot of insulin shots already, and the thought of the next one is, big, what's the big deal? Well, they even welcome it, they even miss this thing, if you know what I mean. So, why? Because Neptune starts holding its square with Mars in Gemini. Mars is in Gemini, Neptune in Pisces. But the thing is, this is a really old energy. When Mars made its way first time in Gemini before its retrograde, it started holding the square, and the square was held. When Mars was retrograde, Neptune was direct. When Neptune was retrograde, Mars was retrograde. When Neptune was retrograde, Mars was direct. This square was held in so very many ways that we kind of get the picture. We know what fake value, fake information, fake spirituality, false faith, misaligned belief, our own shadow, our own trauma, the inner victim, the outer victim, the fake friend, the fake partner, the what doesn't work in bed, what isn't us, what we need to eliminate, the drugs, the alcohol, the cigarettes, the computer game, the bad routine, going out to the club. Like, I'm so sorry for this, but we get the picture of what the devil, Neptune, in a negative sense, is in our lives, or where the devil, again, Mars in Gemini, is in the mind. Sometimes, what is the square for us? Is Neptune the divine, the angel, or is Neptune the devil? Because Pisces, first of all, that's what we need to determine. What is that Neptune for us? The other expression, how does the mind relate to this? Is the mind benevolent? As in, if Neptune is the devil, then the mind has to beat it up. As in, no, we are not listening to the mood, we are not listening to the feeling, we are not listening to the bad inner voice, we are listening to sound logic but it can be the opposite, where the Neptune is the angel, and Mars in Gemini is the devil, that friend. Gemini the other. But more chances are it's here, the mind. Where the mind wants to make sure that we are failing, falling, messing up, doing all the right thing, the bad inner voice. And the way we present ourselves. Like, I'm no good, I'm bad quality, I'm a bad person, I'm not good in bed. you know, But this energy beat us up already so much in so many positions that we get the picture. So this final square, this is where we better apply the wisdom. Because we already know what this means for us personally. As I said, end of autumn last year, December, January. Okay, of course, December and January had moments when the square was not on at all, but these two planets, Neptune and Mars, were conversing with others, were sorting out their stuff. And now the final square, you better apply the wisdom of both of this, and then you cannot go wrong. But the disillusionment, where we smile, but the tear is also there. Because, yeah, as I said, this is that final reality check. Reality check is this because there is yet another conjunction in the sky. But the final reality check where the smile, but both the tear, that, yeah, it is what it is. And really, I know with all the eloquence of the astrological language, and yet the conclusion is it is what it this is an it is what it is moment. Yeah, my wife, husband, well, I can't live with them anymore. What love means to them is not what love means to me, and it is what it is. The love is there, yet, the final moment, or the job, the career, the modus operandi of it. I love it. I'm good. I'm everything that my dream is there. I'm living my dream, but it doesn't really suit my future. You're living your dream. Everything's wonderful. You're at the high. But now you get to the moment where, but this is not getting me into the future that I need to live in 5 years, 10 years, etc. Why? Because maybe you want to live a very, very calm and peaceful lifestyle, but living your dream in the present is the opposite of that. And it's wonderful, but you know that this is where your dream is tuning down and turning into the other. So the moment of reality check. I'm living the last days, weeks, months, years of my dream, because then I have to make the right choices. And why am I using these big things? Because this is where Pluto and Saturn are energetic. Saturn is moving into Pisces, the sign of finalities. This is the big wrap up. This is the big conclusion. This is where it's real. It's there. It's a done deal, really. It is a done deal. Whatever we signed up for in spirit, our unconscious, or in very more 3D ways, other people, but we signed up for something now. We are getting it. We are living it. We are shifting there. And that also needs this reality check. Both the Mars and Neptune square, where yes, it has to sink in that this is the situation. Some of it is possible, and what is not possible, that is what we need to eliminate. But then there is the Saturn and Mercury conjunction as well. An erratic Saturn and erratic Mercury. Mercury is definitely the mind. So something sinks in. The communication is there, the decision is there, the something solid, concrete, reliable, grounded, based in reality is there. A reply, a response. And this is where it shouldn't really have any polarity, because if it's a job contract, it's there. You've done it. Apps, bravo, but now you have to go and work. You know what I mean? So a new chapter begins. Or whatever it is that you've done, or eliminated, or whatever, good, but tomorrow the beginning has to come. This is the ending, but now the begin. You know what I mean? And we have to manage this beginning and ending, because chances are with Aquarius it's simultaneous. It comes in in one package, both the beginning and the ending, and it's complicated. But we already lived a lot to figure it out. When I said lived a lot, the past 3 to 4 months, and actually the past 3 years, that gave us a lot to figure it out, and now we can make this big move. And another positive energy that might be with us much more towards the end of the week, well, it is the sun sextiling Uranus, and the sun is in Pisces, so that means divine help, divine manifestation, the power of faith, the power of, the soul, really. And this is very, very important because Saturn is moving into Pisces. So yeah, Pisces is immune system. Pisces is our blood. Pisces is our hormonal balance. So Saturn is stabilizing it. Saturn is discipline. But Saturn is also work, sacrifice, effort, and limitations. What is disharmonious there? We need to sort it out. So this will be also a moment of healing. This is also important medically speaking, because Saturn preparing to move into Pisces, and Mercury will conjunct it for a few hours, I think, because the same day or very, very soon after it moves into Pisces, which means that the mind, the communication, the preparation is already there. So, for example, if this is where you find out a diagnosis, um, result of an analysis, medical analysis, medical investigation, scheduling of surgery. This is where it's ongoing. And Mercury and Pisces, you are already thinking about the recovery period. But at the same time, for other people, this is where you're healed. The result, well, you're healed. And wonderful news, but Saturn in Pisces. That's where I was offline for quite a long time because of my condition or whatever limited me. So now I have to get used to being online again. And that's work and effort. Because disciplining the self, learning how to be operational again. So for many people, this will be a recuperation period. Pisces also rules the feet. So for a lot of people, this will either be learning how to walk again, or for others, time out. For others, still becoming therapists. And actually, this is also a possible expression of the conjunction of Venus, Jupiter, Chiron, Vesta, and the sign of Aries, when, surprise, surprise, someone becomes a healer. So, or someone musters the courage, especially people with imposter syndrome, that, well, I'm actually quite a okay, if not more healer, so I'm actually gonna top up my game. I don't care if I'm an imposter, because if the imposter is better than the professional, well then, that kind of says something to the imposter, like, you're not really an imposter. So yes, for some people, the imposter syndrome is what is gonna be healed. And this Sun sextile Uranus comes with a lot of surprises, where Pisces can be in the past. So the sextile does represent action, but with Sun in Pisces, that action could have been in the past. So the conditions of this blessing might already been fulfilled, so surprises may come. And the surprise factor truly is, I do believe, the Juno conjunct Aries, because interesting partnerships and alliances and collaborations, and even in an erotic sense, why not, are definitely gonna be born. um and another thing that we need to be aware of is that anoretic Pluto in Capricorn and anoretic Saturn in Aquarius, that is also going to be stirring up the collective picture quite a lot. So important moves might be happening in the world out there. Pluto in Capricorn, politically speaking, big preparations, big moves. Sometimes that can also mean militaristic action as well. And Saturn in the sign of Aquarius means something on the internet. Either a battle, a limitation, a restriction, the internet coming offline, or something is, in some countries, it's gonna be either banned or controlled, or financial transactions, but that are susceptible to, intellectual property. Okay, so Saturn, structure or piece of land, but on the internet. So maybe you guys understand this much more because you have the studies in economy or stuff like that. So translate this symbol, because there are going to be a lot of moves in that sense. And Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, no, it's going to retrograde out of Aquarius back into Capricorn. So that means a reverberation of whatever is happening right now, both collectively and individually as well, because Pluto in Capricorn in an erratic position and moving into Aquarius is almost like fatedly, like truly Pluto is the hand of fate, uh, making people invest. Finally either invest, buy the property, make the big move, make the big leap of faith, like truly embody what they desire, taking back their power, of course. So we are gonna see a lot of empowered moves, both individually and collectively, and this will kind of destabilize a lot. And of course, there is gonna be a massive spike in, mental health issues around this time because Pluto is, activating Aquarius, which is the internet. And Pluto sometimes is also the problem, the unknown truth, because this is the first generation that was raised by the internet. What did that do to the minds of people or the collective consciousness? Pluto is going to show us the answers to that, not just very soon, but over the course of the next 20 years. And if this matters, Sedna is also an heretic holding the trine with Pluto. So again, Sedna is the earth change and also the ocean. So we might see some tectonic activities, especially under the ocean. We might also see, you know, again, great efforts, great sacrifices paying off miraculously at this time, but at the same time, natural calamities which will require great sacrifice. The earth takes, basically. So, in the following, I would like to say a couple of words of how this, as I said, very intense week might play out. Oh, and before I don't forget, Mercury is also moving into the sign of Aquarius. So after the 2nd of March or on the 2nd of March, so Mercury is moving out from Aquarius into Pisces, sorry. So this is a powerful energy shift because this is introspection. This is where we are that much more in tune, connected, almost tapped into our dreams, our psyche, our most inner feelings. This is where even for total atheists, having a soul is not really a question of what I believe or not. It's there, I feel it, I am it. So why? Because Mercury is pre-shadowing Saturn. It's almost like Mercury is the scout. Saturn is telling Mercury, like, Mercury, go, and you can tell everyone in dreams, in visions, in trips, if you know what I mean, what I'm gonna offer to them, let's say, karmic lesson wise, in the next 2.5 years. And Mercury says, okay, and he's doing his job. So, yeah, this is a very, very highly prophetic Mercury. And let's not forget the Sun is also there. Sun will meet Neptune, again, prophetic energy, dreams, magic, spirituality. This is where the spirit is here. Definitely here. Not just within us. So in the following, let's mention what might be the energetic pattern for all of the 12 signs of the zodiac, starting with natives born under the sign of Aries. So for Aries natives, this is a very, very energetic week when they feel the breakthrough in the air. And this might be a breakthrough that they have been desiring, working on for quite a lot of time. But this can mean not like proper work, but just the inner focus, the inner intent. Almost like desiring to manifest something, trying to attract something in their lives. Relevant moves, communications, or you figuring stuff out are gonna definitely take place. But this energetic Pluto comes also with surprises because endings are there as well. So if the universe might take something from you, let it go with a smile, regardless of what that is, because something all that much better is taking its place. And ultimately, this conjunction is in your sign of Venus and Chiron and Jupiter and Vesta. So time to shine, time to, project actually your Venus, not just your inner beauty in that sense, but the beauty of your dreams onto anyone who you can. When I say dreams, what you aspire in the future, exactly your inner preparation, regardless if this is career wise, soul path wise, more spiritually, more in partnership wise, you are making key moves here. And regardless, for many Aries, there might also be big events, career wise, really. Maybe not necessarily where fate is pulling you, maybe a choice that you're offered if you'd like to, for example, change, step up, or, Pluto transform somehow. And you might say, yes, I would like this, or no, not yet. But fate came to you with this, which might come back in your life next year, as in quite early months of next year. Now, for the natives born under the sign of Taurus, this is a really, really, let's say, deep and spiritual week, where, of course, this conjunction of Venus and the other planets in the sign of Aries might offer them a moment when they do need to solve certain problems in their lives through divine help. This is where life left them no choice but divine help. Maybe in matters of healing, quite physical healing, or matters of helping a loved one, or matters of personal health. But when I say this is more like mental health, or emotional, not necessarily physical health, or anything that they need help with, divine help, something that is approaching date and time and term. They can't solve it, they can't fix it, and it's very obvious to them. And this is where they tap into their spiritual, not necessarily power, but rather openness, their spiritual channel, the power of prayer, basically. But amongst all this, they might still have to work on something quite intensely. Their schedule might be really, really busy. And they might be thinking that soon, maybe not in the now, but either next year or the second half of this year, they might need to either up their game skill wise, like either upgrade their skill, learn something new, revolutionize, or start a new study or a new perhaps activity which brings them some kind of value, if not necessarily money, but something. So Taurus natives are in a lot of contemplation, but also hard work. So endure, guys. Natives born under the sign of Gemini, well, they might be feeling extraordinarily conflicted this week in so very many ways, or maybe every way possible, because this Mars and Neptune square does pull a string for them. It does hit a nerve. But the confusion may also come from their career, for their soul, from their soul path, from whatever it is that they are immersing themselves into in a larger sense, not necessarily in a deeply personal, selfish, personal need sense, but rather the higher sense, their goals, careers, aspiration, the bigger things. They might have such an immersion there that it's distracting them from exactly their personal lives. They might not even know who they are this week, because you can imagine they meet people, they're solicited, everyone wants their guidance, help, advice, time, something from them, and that kind of distracts them so much so that they really don't know what to do. But the good news is that regardless of what happens, in the nitty gritty, where they need to, as in where they will, they're possible to have financial opportunities in the close future, that is becoming crystal clear to them. So they are actually in inner preparation to make a bigger either business move, financial move. They are preparing for something greater, and but they know it this week definitely is not the time yet. but communication in that sense might be upcoming. And at the same time, maybe they might meet either a new person, a new connection who absolutely fascinates them and opens up a new world for to them symbolically, or vice versa. Maybe the Gemini native is that person for a collective, actually. Moving on to the sign of Cancer, well, maybe these natives don't have a very easy week either, because this is the moment when they wake up to the fact how different they are. That, maybe the way they felt life, their emotions, their emotional openness in life was so very, very different than in the present. And in the present, they just don't quite know what to do with themselves. They don't even know, what basically the future in a lived way means to them personally. They might not know what might fill the void in their hearts and their feelings. What are they missing from their lives? So this is quite an emotional week. But the emotional side also comes with, quite 3D business, where they might have important decisions, choices, contracts to sign in their lives, and there is no delaying. They might not be really feeling up for it. Their emotions might wash them away, but they need to be present in their lives. And also partnerships. Those Cancer natives who are in a partnership, this is when their feelings are not crystal clear anymore. Why are they ask themselves, why am I with this partner? Because of the great emotion, or because of the comfort or stability? Or for some natives, how much power does the partner have over you? And for those who are single, this is where they might rejoice in the fact that being single might take a lot away from them, but the empowerment and the freedom that they have in their lives is basically so much more worth it, that at this moment they don't even intend to give it up, even if life comes with great opportunities, even if life comes with, love or Prince Charming or whatever. Natives born under the sign of Cancer might not be able to say yes at this time, because their freedom, they cannot let go of their freedom. But those who are in partnership, even they might have to profoundly reconsider the partnership from an emotional perspective. Now, natives born under the sign of Leo, because of these anaretic planets, their time is up in certain, ways. This time is up either means health issues, where, well, chances are it's not gonna go away, it's not gonna get better, or the treatment, may this be for some, the alternative, the holistic treatment, is not doing anything. For others, the allopathic, or how you call this, treatment, the classic medical treatment, is not doing anything. So shifting gear. Those who follow the classic will try the holistic, and vice versa, usually. But the moment of truth is here, either when Leo natives are going to the doctor, or when Leo natives are gonna follow the right treatment, or Leo natives are gonna input the extra effort, commitment, giving up on whatever hinders this, to put their health in good shape. Because some Leo natives don't really need the doctor. Some Leo natives just need discipline, because they know what to do. They know exactly what to do to. So yeah. So this means, and even managing their time. It's not for not every Leo native is just about health. For some, it's time. What am I doing during my day? How many hours, time of my life am I wasting? For example, Leo natives who might have to drive like 3 hours back and forth to work will come to the conclusion that my career, as in my career's blossoming, the money, the glory, the women, whatever I get from it is not worth my time, my life in quantum, you know? So this can be the beginning of a massive lifestyle change for Leo natives when they kind of commit to something. They get a realization, either the doctor's visit, that you need to change, or yep, the operation is actually happening, or that however something in your life rewards you right now, maybe the sacrifice outweighs the reward. Why? Because maybe the rewarding matured already, because Saturn is the lord of cycles. You know, you can't expect a tree to live forever, to produce fruits for you forever, you know. Maybe it does in 2 generations, but everything has an end, you know. Moving on to Virgo natives, well, for these natives, especially those who are in a partnership and have to decide if they want children or not, this week might be important for the decision. And not necessarily medically speak, for some, yes, but not for all. For some, it's really, am I, what am I gifting to my children? If, let's say, I'm gonna become a parent, can I gift a loving future? So some Virgo natives might cut down to the very core of the problem. Is the world going in a right direction? Matching their worldview, of course, not collective, not generally speaking. Or because if the answer is not, maybe adoption is the conclusion they're gonna be reaching. But of course, those Virgo natives who are parents, it's gonna be about the future of their children. Their children come with an announcement, a shock. For example, they come out from the closet, or mom, I'm pregnant, or I'm moving, or something, and you kind of have to process this, react to it. But on the other way, this can also be a big leap of faith for Leo natives, especially those who either received not so long ago, are in the process, or are going to very soon receive some financial, let's say, help from a person, from parents, from life, from the universe, something they worked for. They sold something, so maybe that's not even help, that's just them helping themselves. But they will find out what they kind of want to do with their time, their life, their financial empowerment, because they will want much more freedom in their lives. Virgo natives will decide that whatever else I'm gonna do, I need to savor life, because either now or never. So this might be quite a strong energy that will run this week for them. Moving on to natives born under the sign of Libra, well, this week their souls might ask them, well, look, where is it that you want to belong? In the world or in any other sense? What does family mean to you? What does stability mean to you? Is something calling you? Because for some natives, Libra, this might be, well, I don't know where I belong anymore. So this will immediately start the great philosophical process. But for other Libra natives, they will wake up with a strange feeling, something is calling me. Is that a place? Is that an event? A experience? A person? A creation? or anything like that, a partnership. For Libra natives, someone, something might be calling them, and that is why they wanna already start making plans how to uproot, how to leave their roots and plant themselves somewhere else. So this might be the moment when they make the decision either for a move or that they want to settle. But when I say they want to settle, this might not have to do with home or in that sense whatsoever, but with a decision that disciplines them for they commit to something. For example, a professional partnership, a job, a hobby, a promise, an oath to themselves. But there is this strong energy of commitment. And that is exactly why they want to find the answer to the question, where do I belong? Because they need to commit. And at the same time, some natives might find themselves meeting a very powerful teacher in their lives, whatever that means to them personally, in whatever area of life. For others, this might be where that teacher is them. They start teaching, maybe as quite as a job, or they appear as a karmic teacher in someone else's life. Moving on to the natives born under the sign of Scorpio, well, this can be quite an important week when they might get some rewards. Rewards that they worked for. So, either the result of this delayed gratification, quite materially and physically possible, delayed pay, or this is the moment of pay. This is a moment when you're rewarded for your work in a larger sense. But is some harvest here, or a really favorable financial management. But what is more important, that they start speculating, because there might be some finances, resources, money available, for others loan available, and this is where the speculation kicks in. How and when and in which way will I gonna start producing something or business? Their spider sense is tingling for business or financial speculations or investment or the Scorpio within them is very active in that sense. And there might be dialogues with your partner, with friends, with people. And what's more important, who owes you? Because this is where you are recovering your money or favors or whatever someone owes you, you recover it. Other Scorpio natives might give a loan, to be totally honest, but you can imagine it's not that you're gonna lose it or whatever, but you're gonna give a loan to a person who you love. But for others, as I said, they recover their money. Maybe not peacefully, but they need to recover what other people owe them. Moving on to Sagittarius natives, well, this is also where they might have to share their resources. When, some Sagittarius natives, especially those who are parents, those who are in a partnership, those who, have very strong connections in their lives, might decide that the time has come to share. They want to feel, you know, I can say this as the need to be needed being fulfilled, but they might feel the need to truly have a deeper share. It doesn't matter if that share is necessarily money, but something that is valuable. So a value that either Sagittarius natives want to have in their lives, and that is why they share. For example, a Sagittarius native wants a certain relative to either live with them, live near them, meet them very often, but that relative cannot come because of financial obstacles. what does the Sagittarius native do? Give the money, or, enable that relative's, you know, journey, so to speak, and wish fulfilled. So they fulfill basically a dream, a wish, a desire for themselves, but this needs sharing. This needs either a sacrifice, but which doesn't feel as a sacrifice. It feels as delight, of course. Now, other Sagittarius natives are gonna make very big moves for, as I said, their loved ones. When they see that the loved one is not making the right thing, and Sagittarius natives are 1,000,000,000% sure that they should, they just give the push from the back, like it or not. So there might be certain conflicts, battles, exchange of words, or even actions, but for the sake of love, for the sake of benevolence, especially if that's a child, a partner. This is where you force the partner, force the child, force the person who you love. Go and do it already. And of course, this leads to a happy ending, but it might be quite intense for Sagittarius natives this week until they mobilize the situation. Or, as I said, they fulfill their own desire. Moving on to Capricorn natives, well, this might be quite a philosophical week amongst so very many things because it's busy. When they hear from others, perhaps, how much they changed. Of course, in a positive way. Either changed in a good way, or they became stronger professionals. Maybe Capricorn natives have a really, really positive mirror view this week, which motivates them, which makes them stronger, which makes them more ambitious. They say that I have had a really hellish past 3 years, Pluto working strongly in their sign. But look at all the good that I have done. I have true, reasons to be proud of myself. So Capricorn natives, of course, also want to do something with this because, as I said, it ambitions them to keep on going all that stronger, all that much more forceful towards their plans, towards their whatever it is that they want to become personally. So this can include any area of life, from career, work, spiritual, psychological, studies. They are going strongly, and this week is a massive confirmation to them to keep on going. But don't get me wrong, it doesn't come without challenges, because challenges might come from either friends or partners. But as I said, this is a strong motivation and a strong moment when they know that they are the mature ones. They can have greater trust in their own maturity than in anyone else. So if this is empowerment, then I don't know what is. Moving on to Aquarius natives, well, these natives might be before either a moment when something in their lives blew up. For some recent, for others 2018. So they are actually before a big decision in life, a big move in life. For some, even leaving something behind forever and going into the unknown. For others, it's more linear, as in they know exactly what they're leaving behind and the new is already prepared, but they are still in that moment where am I really doing this? Am I really gonna commit to this? Am I really gonna have this leap of faith? And of course, it's also a moment when they discover what the spirit, what the divine, what their own unconscious as a gateway is to them personally. They tap into their spiritual powers because they will realize that they cannot make certain big moves for the future without even being okay spiritually, psychologically. So for some natives, this is also a moment of big healing. When they break down and choose to break down, to break in. So some natives will take a moment of pause, a big decision in life. That can be a moment of pause to heal, to rest, to recuperate, and then go very strongly into the future. And of course, last but not least, for natives born under the sign of Pisces, of course, naturally, better said, this is also about the future, quite similar to Aquarius natives, yet the divine for natives born under the sign of Pisces is highlighting all of their vulnerabilities. And this has a very sound logic to it, because Pisces natives have to how should I say, fortify, strengthen their weak points. They have to make sure that they step into the future. And I do see that for Piscean natives, the future is not uncertainty, but it's rather something that is very, very, very crystal clear to them. Something that they already set up. The schematic, the design is there, but this is the moment when the universe is telling them, before you step into it, before you start doing it, executing, living it, you need to make sure to, exactly as I said earlier, fortify your vulnerabilities, your weak points, because those may not, how should I say, become exposed, become a big problem, avoid in the future, because that will compromise the build of it, the living of it. But for every single Pisces native, Saturn entering into your sign, this is a very, very important 2.5 years to 3. Actually, this is a very, very important period in the next 10 years, basically. Just that the next 2.5, 3 years are more intense than the others. So, where I'm going with this is that Pisces natives do need to make sure that when they're in build mode, execute mode, live mode, Saturn in your sign, of the future that you've already set up, you're not gonna collapse because you overlooked and you ignored your vulnerabilities. So right now, whatever life is throwing at you, may it be a medical problem, may it be financial problem, a friend who is very, very questionable, so whatever is being prepared, you need to know to focus on that and have extra care for the future. So this concludes your horoscope. I hope that you enjoyed it and you found it useful. All I can say is that this is gonna be with the energetics a big week for all of us. So let us keep open to what the universe brings to the table, because this is strongly fated. This is very, very fated. This is fate, the great wheel at full display. So all the best we can do is have faith in our hearts and, be kind and compassionate to one another. The power of love. We must never forget that. That's where all of the strength lies at this period. And Black Moon Lilith and the sign of Leo, it's all about the power of love. And sometimes the power of love means withdrawing love. So thank you everyone. Until next time, bye for now.